Welcome to the Mantic Universe podcast for another Kings of War episode. This is now our second part of the Trident review, as we hit 2 hours the last time and didn't cover everything that we wanted. So I'm here again with Martin from Austria.
Hi.
And Menai.
Hi.
This is your host Matthias speaking, and hope you enjoy our further episode discussions. So we are jumping right into the units we missed in the first part, and we want to start with the Blacoderm Defenders. Martin, what do you think about them?
Okay, yeah. So the Blacoderm Defenders, they had Guard of the Trident King option. This is gone now. Apart from that, there was not too much that changed. The nerf went down 1 point, and the troop war is 10 points more expensive, and the regiment is 10 points less expensive. So troop is at 115 now, and the regiment is 155. They gained the headstrong rule. So if someone shoots them and wavers them, they could shrug off this effect potentially. Yeah. But headstrong is not the same as it was before, because you can't get wavered when in melee. So it's, well, nice to have. I think they have still the same role they had before. They are defense 6 block that has no crushing, and that has phalanx, so you can still stand somewhere, declare, I'm here, this is my territory, no one can go here, but they are not as punchy. One thing has changed because of the command of the Aqua Venom command, where you can give kind of the Hammer of Measured Force to a unit, so they can receive it. So with their 12 and maybe 15 attack, they can do reasonable damage, which they couldn't do before. So this is a kind of an upgrade. Mena, how did you use them?
I use them as a flank protection. I usually played one regiment of them with the Guard of the Trident King, and I placed them on my flanks to protect my flanks from cavalry charges or other fast units, what were usually flyers or cavalry. And with the phalanx, they were phenomenal against those units. They didn't want to go into the Blacoderms. They were a really nice area denial. Also with the blood of Guard of the King, they were unit strength 4, so I could place them independent on the side with the armor 6 and 15, 17 nerf. They could comfortably sit on a point, on the side, on the flank, and just contest it or hold it, because you needed so much unit strength to take that 1 point where I just place one unit.
What the changes?
The changes,
losing the strength.
Yeah, also the Countercharge podcast mentions the regiments all have a unit strength of 2. So with another regiment, you can simply contest it. If you send a troop to it, you have it. Or if you send a horde in hordes are always unit strength 4. So they can just overrule my 1 regiment of Blacoderms, so you would need to place 2 there. I still like them with the phalanx, with the rule changes to phalanx. That's units are just hindered if they charge them, so they lose all thunderous charge. If they're cavalry, heavy cavalry, or flyers, if they're neither of these, if they're chariots, they still get thunderous charge. That's an interesting change. The old phalanx rule just shut down thunderous charge hard. it just say you can't gain Thunderous Charge against them. Now you can with the right units. That's a bit of a letdown, but I think it's a good change to Phalanx in general. It makes the rule so much clearer. It went down from like 5 lines to I think 1.5. Yeah.
No, this is something we see in general, that this version of Kings of War, that all the rules are much more clearer now and well written, so no confusion on that part. Also, I throw in that we are recording this after the release of the last Countercharge interview with Kyle, so we have now a little bit more information on how the game works, or on the details, especially on the advanced rules. So that's why we have can have an extended review on the units with more information that is revealed.
One thing I want to mention is that the troops are auxiliary and the regiment is core. So if you want to unlock with them, you just take some regiments and you have a solid hard to shift core of Placoderm defenders. With 155 points, they are exactly the same as the River Guard in a regiment or as the Placoderm Razor Swords, which we will discuss next.
But much harder to hit. And I also want to mention their heavy infantry, they have no horde option.
Yes.
So no big phalanx hordes for Trident Realms.
Yeah, not anymore. Do you want to take us through the Razor Swords?
Yeah. Just now thinking about it, this means we have no defense 6 hordes isn't necessarily a bad thing in that regard. So the next unit, the Placoderm Razor Swords, are an interesting option here, because I'm just looking at Placoderms are also part of the 4th edition 2-player set, so it will be an interesting point how to build your models in there, because I think there are 20 model, 16, 20 models in the box, and so you could them either build them as defenders with spears or as Placoderm Razor Swords with 2-handed swords, which have 1 defense lower and gain crushing strength, also have the headstrong special rule, and same nerf and other stats. Also, they have a difference in meal value. Razor Swords are 3+, while the defenders are 4+. So more of the offensive.
5 points more expensive.
So clearly a defensive and an offensive unit.
And the Razor Swords have no phalanx rule.
Yes.
So from what I've seen, or what I would say, that the Placoderms are the things I would like to take in a regiment, while the Razor Swords would be more likely to be taken as a troop or as a supportive troop of this Defense 6 regiment, in my opinion. So what do you think about this, Menai?
It's interesting that you say you take the Razor Swords as a troop, but I still think if you take troops of Placoderms, you still would want to take the Placoderm defenders because they're 5 points cheaper. You maybe want them as a chaff, as a charge blocker, as an unattractive charge target. The Razor Swords are an attractive charge target. I mean, they only have defense 5 and no defensive, and with their 12, 16, they don't survive a charge. It's just a regular unit. I don't think that they will ever come to hitting back. Also, they're rather slow with speed 5. You can get them to a 12-inch charge range with the Deptora Eternal, what gives a Wild Charge 2 aura, but the 12 inches is still mighty short. Maybe you want one unit as a second row to enter combat, but with their 15 attacks, I don't know, it's not compelling to me. I would rather take a troop of tools for the same points as a second row unit with 20 attacks, also hitting on 3s. Yes, they have no crushing, but you can
and a specialist.
give them, and a specialist, yes. But you can give them the Aqua Venom and have much more damage. I would unlock with the defenders and take then tools as a second option. It is much more compelling to me. Also, the crushing strength 1 is not that great. I mean, yeah, they can work independent. I don't think we will see a lot of play of the Razor Swords. It's a nice idea and nice to have in the list, but I currently don't see much options for them.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why it is not as great as Thul's. I mean, Thul's and Razor Swords have absolutely the same point costs. So it's troop 120 and regiment 155. They are both having the same unit strength, but formerly you had the option to cast weakness in Trident realms, and I think you don't have this option anymore. So without weakness, the Thul's are more defensive, kind of, because they have their ensnare, and the Razor Swords don't have it. I mean, the thing is, the Razor Swords are core units. So if you want a core that is not as defensive as the defenders, but you want a core that can hit, then the Razor Swords are the thing to go, because Naiad Ensnares don't hit that hard. Platinum Defenders also don't hit that hard. River Guards just hit on 4s. So the only other hitty core unit are the Depth Horrors, and the Depth Horrors are just more expensive in a horde and less hitty in a regiment. I mean, so they are more expensive in a regiment and much less hitty in a troop, because the troop of the Depth Horrors only has 9 attacks. So if you want, on the other hand, they gain Rampage. So
they gain Rampage,
and sure they have
too many options now. It's not a clear choice in that regard, because every unit has their advantages and disadvantages. Like going with the Death Horrors again, they have lesser defense. They have more points. They have higher nerve. They have more attacks. But they're also monstrous infantry, so they have a larger footprint. All are ocean spawned.
I think if the Plaxiodon Razor Swords had an option like Slayer 3 as an alternative to the Rampage 3 of the Depth Horrors, that could make them viable as an anti-monster unit, that could work. I think, but without that option, instead of Headstrong, just Slayer 3 would be a nicer option. Crush 1, Slayer 3 with 15 attacks on 3, and you can hit those monsters or those big units, those bigger units, and then I see a place for them. Then they are viable. But with Headstrong, I don't think so.
Yeah, this is more likely really when you really go for a more grindy list in that kind of building. So from all of what I got, it would likely be more going with defenders in troops or regiment, and maybe Placoderm Razor Swords as a regiment in addition, if you want to have some punch when you go for those high defense core build in that unit.
If you're really hurting for points, but if you really want some high punching power, you can just take a horde of Naiad Ensnarers. That's also a pretty good alternative with 35 points more. So
yeah, I mean, I like it that there's no clear choice what to go for, and you have alternatives depending on what you like and what you want to build. or what your opponent is, because this is now we are talking in a more generic environment where I don't know who you play against. But when you have like playing in a smaller group, or if with close friends where I know what your opponent is likely to choose or which army you go against, you now have the clear preferred choice which units to take. And you could build an army that your opponent struggles more when you know they have problems with defense 6, then you take the defenders instead of the death horrors. And if you know they have problem with hitting, then you take the ensnaring units and things like that. So this is more like going also for those narrative and theme builds. If you like naiads or don't want to have frogs or naiads in there, but go for more for a death ocean theme, you have now 2 units to choose from. It's actually quite nice and diverse core in that regard. So it's a good thing. So the next on the list that we missed the last time is the Tyler Swarm, the last core unit, which is a large infantry with height 1. The troop only option with auxiliary, your usual old swarm style unit with defense 4+, 9 attacks. They are hitting on 3+, and are scout. Martin, you used to play 2 of those. You're still going to choose them?
I am still loving them because I have to read the line to an end. So they have 15 nerf now, and they are 10 points cheaper. So they are 60 points now. They have no trades. They still have their scout. They have no ensnare anymore. They have no nimble anymore. They have no option for knock and shepherd. That was the shooting version. And they are auxiliary. So they are a very, very cheap chef unit for the Trident realms. You can scout them up a little. That makes up for their low speed. So the speed 5 is not a lot, but you can still move at the double and turn once. So they are kind of more mobile, and they are kind of the same mobility than they had before. Before they had nimble. Now the movement rule changed as a whole. But the unit itself changed a lot. I think losing ensnare and getting the defense up to 4 is a totally different unit. Also, the melee value changed from 5 to 3, so they now hit more reliable, but they don't hit much. So the attacks went down to 9. Formerly they had 12. So they are hitting more reliable now, but they are still doing only 1 or 2 wounds, maybe 3 if you're lucky. But wounding is not their point. The point is they are cheap. They are only height 1, and they are not very big because they're only troops. So I still love them as a chaff unit. You can just shuffle them in, leave them to die, and they are still not blocking any line of sight for your second row, for your second line. So still a good unit. Also, it is a unit you can just put on objectives or sneak upon, along the board edge to maybe give them a trolling command, so they can enthrall someone to the edge of the board, so where they do not want to be. So you have cheap units that can just be where no one is and lurking, like it is Trident style.
One interesting change is that there are no swarm rules anymore, and they are large infantry, so they are not affected by Rampage, they are affected by Slayer now.
Those hard crabs.
Yeah, yes. Monster Slayer in literal. So it's
and also to finish this up. Sorry. With the new sticky combat, you can't charge out of them, so you need to withdraw from them or kill them. If they charge a unit, you can be sure that unit is not doing anything but hitting those or withdrawing. So that's viable information you get from a charge of a tidal swarm. So okay, this unit does nothing else but hitting the tidal swarm or just go away. And that gives you time. That gives you a turn.
I think we might see. Okay, it depends, but I think in the very beginning of 4th edition, we are going to see a lot of people trying to use more of the chaff units and the swarms just to make use of those sticky combats, because it's like it's an easy option. They are a core unit, so you don't waste any slots on that. You could go for something more important. And with especially those that have scout with height 1, throwing them early in to block others out, so they need to kill them, because nerf 15 is still something you need to invest some attacks. You're just not rolling them out maybe in the first turn of combat, but not guaranteed. So this is something.
I think changing the title swarm to defense 5 and nerf 15 makes them a lot more resilient against shooting, because with only defense 2 and nerf 12 like they were before, you can devastate them pretty easily with 2 rounds of shooting, and now you can't devastate them easy. You just have to invest as in any other unit. So Thule are as easily devastated as a tidal swarm, so they have the same robustness against shooting. So regarding the shooting, this is a good change.
Yeah. So I think this was, how to say, thought through. Obviously it was. I mean, Alessio is a good guy when it's about writing rules. So this is like all the small changes are good linked together. That a little bit of adjustments here, do a little bit of adjustments there, to work out into balance things again, so that like the change in nerf for swarm units counters the new shooting rules and things like that, so that everything is what worked, or most things now still work as they worked before, but with the small adjustments on the rules. Okay, so the next thing, then we're going hopping to the specialist units we missed, and the next thing would be the heart piercers, the hated all-rounder unit that was spammed by some people, I have to say, not everyone. And so they're now limited in choice, unlike you take a certain command hero as a specialist, so a maximum of 4. You still have troop and regiments. They have regeneration 5+. They had boon gun with 18-inch and piercing 1. They are shooting 5+, so hitting on foes when they're standing still. Defense 3, 12 attacks, 10 and 12 attacks for troop and regiment. Nerf 11 and 15. With the Oceanborn keyword. Meal 5+, so they are definitely a shooting unit. Well, I think taking them as core is something that would be worth it. I'm not sure if I would take them as specialist, Martin.
So the speed is 6 now, like with old Naiads. So they are a little faster now. Steady aim is not a thing anymore. So if they are moving and shooting, they are only shooting on 5s. This is a drawback to something they were in version 3. So in version 3, you could move your 5, shoot your 18 inches, and you were shooting on 4s, and with your piercing 1 attack, that was pretty good. Now they have to stand still if they want to shoot on 4s. But with 18 inches, it is not easy to stand still, because the opponent is probably out of your shooting range, or he's so much in that he is already charging or preparing for his charge. So you get only 1 turn of shooting until the units are all in melee combat. So in my opinion, they are much harder to play now. Maybe that's the reason the points of the regiment went down 10 points. So the troop is 115, the regiment is 145. So the regiment is a little cheaper now, but they have their drawbacks with shooting. On the other hand, they gained 2 attacks. So at least they are doing a little more than before. I think they are hard to play. Like you said, the Centurion has the ability to shift them to core. So if you want to build around mid-range shooting, you can take some as a core to unlock things. I personally will leave them in my shelf for the first tries, for the first army lists. What do you think, Menai?
I mean, I've never played them before. I just got annoyed by your guys shooting at mine. They were annoying, but I think you could layer them with the river guard. So you put the river guard in front and just in a check pattern. So you have the river guards in front and maybe move them inside so you can't get through to them, or just place an individual or a tidal swarm before them. So the enemy just has the option between river guards or the heart piercers. If they stand still, I mean, you could. They have no Pathfinder. That's a bit sad, but you could move up 12 the first turn and just place some tidal swarms in front of them, so nobody can charge them and they just move away, and you have next round of shooting. And with sticky combat, I think if you choose your targets right, it will be hard to charge them. So on the other hand, shooting with sticky combat has the problem that you can't shoot in combat. So if all units are just in combat and the enemy just goes into combat with you, not with the intention to kill, but to save himself from being shot, and hopes that he doesn't kill like the tidal swarm. Unlikely, but still can happen. Then you have nothing to shoot, and you need to withdraw with the tidal swarm first, and that could kill them. But that also would be their purpose. That you just kill or withdraw, and then have something to shoot.
As you mentioned, withdraw. So by now we know that when you make a clean withdraw move, you can still shoot. We also now know that you can speak the commands at any time in the movement phase. So if the heart piercers get charged, they are probably not taking enough damage to be routed. And if you want to then withdraw to have the nerf test again, not risking it too much, you could speak heal on them. They can receive 1 order, so heal them up, withdraw, shoot again. Maybe.
From my experience, that won't work. They are only defense 4. So whoever charges them does a lot of damage. And if they have 10 damage and you make a withdraw order, you have to roll a 4 to not get them killed. And that's not very likely. So probably if they got shot, they are if they got charged, they are half dead. And even with regeneration 5, which is not as good as it was, they don't heal up enough that it is safe to go to withdraw. So I don't think that will happen very, very much. It could happen theoretically, but I don't think it will happen very often.
I mean, the direct competition is still the River Guard with the Javelins, which would be the difference. The River Guard is core by default, is a little bit faster. They have same defense and I think a better nerf by 1 point. They have Feint and Leaper, which helps with the shooting, but they only shoot 12-inch, but on 4s. So
they're
your mobile short range, so a little bit better, but cost a little bit more points. If both are core units, it's 18-inch versus 12-inch shooting.
That's big.
So it's still, also if you want this core shooting unit, but you also need to invest in the warlord choice to get the hard piercers in. So it's like, I don't know. It's
a lot of investments to make them work, and I don't think that's worth it.
I mean, also compared to the other specialist choices, they are the cheapest option compared to Fools by 5 points for the troops. So because we usually think in terms of 2,000 points and more, but it's like also what you're going when you play 1,500 points, and where points matter. So you won't take regiment as specialist because you don't have the points value to invest in, and so it could be like you want some shooting support in your list, and you want to take 1 or 2 specialist units. You might only take the cheapest one, which is Naiads as troop. Options there can see a value in there. If you have enough points left, you would probably get something better. That is more expensive, but if you have the points to spend, other choices are there.
One thing we should mention, if you put them in core, you will get the Centurion, and he has rallying, so they are effectively on a nerf 16. Doesn't change much, but they have the same nerf as the River Guard.
Well, River Guard would also get 1 nerf from the rallying.
No, they are amphibian, and it's only ocean spawn.
Okay.
So they don't get it.
So definitely, if you go for a Naiad theme list, where say you want to take those units with that warlord, they are a good option in that regard to build around. But it's an investment. You really need to build around them to make them work. Okay, so jumping up to the last unit out there, another Naiad, and it's the Worm Rider, which are now named differently from before, but they were the same in the Forces of Nature army list, and now we are again back to calling them Naiad Worm Riders. They are large cavalry, troop and regiment options with crushing 1 Pathfinder in regeneration 5+, the Oceanborn trait, and meal 3+, defense 4, 10 and 20 attacks on nerf 15 and 18. Well, I have terrible experience playing against them with Martin's list. So, Martin, what do you think about them now in 4th?
So the points is 150 and 215. So the troop is 10 more expensive. The regiment is 20 cheaper. So they are cheaper now. What I liked when playing Worm Riders was their nimble. They don't have nimble anymore, but they, from the new movement rule, can still turn if they went at the double. They have their Pathfinder as they had, but Pathfinder changed. So what I liked with the Naiad Worm Riders is you stick them into woods, and then you have a big range because 8 speed is 8 speed. So you are threatening a lot, and if someone attacks you, he is hindered. And if you attack, you were not hindered, but you will be hindered now in 4th because Pathfinder is just for the movement. You would need Strider to not be hindered when charging out of the wood, so that you can't play the Worm Riders like you used to play them. And the Worm Riders have a disadvantage of being pretty big. So if you don't give them into the woods, you have to fill space you want to fill with other units, because nobody wants to be hindered when charging. And I think the Worm Rider is more difficult to place now. You have to place him next to a wood, maybe, so that if you are charging, you are not hindered. But if someone charges you, you are hindered. But that makes it more difficult to play. They still have no ensnare, no other defense than 4, so they are taking wounds pretty fast. And regeneration 5 doesn't help.
We know that Sir Jesse's boots are still a thing. And so if you only play 1 unit of Worm Riders, you would play the regiment, and they're probably cheaper by the points the artifact would cost, give or take. And so, like, playing them as you played them before, they need the artifact, and you have that one unit that can get into the woods and charge out of them unhindered for the same investment as before. Just saying.
I mean, I played them with the Crushing Strength artifact because they only have Crushing Strength 1 as a cavalry. They don't have Thunderers or anything. I mean, they have Crushing. They don't lose it if they do a hinder charge, but it's only 1. And for a super hard, high impact, expensive unit, that's low. So I played them with the Crushing Strength 2, and with the Pathfinder, I had the unhindered charges, and they did a lot. They really hurt a lot. I also had the option with the loot, that's now gone, to give the Crush 3, and then you had 20 attacks with Crush 3, and that was an impact. They landed in there, and they killed hordes together with the Trident King. I played them in synergy with the Trident King because they also got lifesteal 2 to the regeneration 4, because so they were every round they were fresh. They got attacked, got like 7-8 wounds from one unit. Most times, sometimes they just died. And then they rolled the regeneration 4+ and had the lifesteal 2, and they were on like 1 or 2 wounds. In some cases, they even regenerated completely. They did a lot for me in soaking wounds. I think the most wounds they took in one game was like 40 wounds, what they regenerated and lifestealed over those 6 rounds of gameplay.
But that's gone now.
Yeah, that's gone now. So I still will try them out, but I'm not sure. On the other hand, you need to place them in the open. The reason you placed them in the woods was because they were so vulnerable to shooting. They just died from shooting. So they only can waver now. That delays that for 1 round, and with their regeneration, and maybe you have another engage to stop the shooting on them, so they can just hit 1 round later and avoid terrain to have an unhindered charge. But they're more difficult to play.
Yes, you know.
But I mean, would still also have an option to use. So, I mean, we are now going into a little bit of talking about artifacts in that regard, because we know Dwarven Ale is also still a thing, so giving them the headstrong rule is possible, and this is something that we need to test how it works out in 4th, because you only get wavered by shooting for now. So we don't know really how valued headstrong still is. I mean, it only works on a 4+ as far as we know. So not sure how good this is in general, but it's like a 50-50 chance to be unwavered from shooting on those units that are vulnerable against it. Might be because it's a cheaper option on points. It's so that there are some options to make them play, either by giving them Suggestive Boot, give them headstrong, or make them hitting harder. So there are more options. So the question is, would you guys play more than 1 unit or more than 1 regiment in that regard, or invest in other specialist unit instead?
I think I would take 1 regiment still, but they moved over from that big front and center unit, but just hit in the center like a truck and fought there in the center, to a flanking unit. With their speed and the new mobility, okay, they don't have nimble on the charge, but still while moving, so they can move 16 inch up and turn 90 degrees. And look in the middle and be a threat there for 16 inches from the sides, insides. You need to react to them. and I think that's their place now. They will make problems if you have them in the flank. And I think that's also something we all know, to get in the enemy's head and to threaten things and give the enemy a headache with unit placement. And that could be possible, that could be possible, that could be possible. And I think they are a great choice for that.
And an interesting option here is because we also have the Riverguard Dumbusters in specialist choice, and they are similar but different as they have they cost a little bit more as the regiment, have a little bit less attack but crushing 2, meal 4+ instead of 3+, but they have Strider. So in this regard, you could invest, saying, taking one of each and then having one Pathfinder unit and one Strider unit to make, how to say, the best of both rules, and to set up your flanking and direct charges. What do you guys think about that? Martin?
Yeah, I mean, they have the same footprint. They are both big. Flying out of a wood is always fun. So the Riverguard Dumbusters can do that. From pure hitting power, I have to do the math. So about 8 wounds from a Dambuster charge on any defense, and about 8 wounds from a Worm Rider charge. So they do about the same damage.
Yeah, because the one hitting on 4s, the Dambusters, and the Worm Riders only hitting on 3s. You lose some attacks there. So the Dambusters have only 18 attacks, but they gain them back from their super high crushing. They have crushing 2 and thunderous 1. That's one of the few units that has that combined anymore. We don't see that a lot.
Yeah. So it's really like this. So against the lower defense infantry units, the Worm Riders are better because they have more attacks, just 2, but more attacks hit better with crushing 1. So anything that they wound on 2s, they are better than the Dumbusters, while anything with higher defense, the Dumbusters are better. So
and the Dambusters fly, so you could do a little shenanigans with Dambusters, but on the other hand, the Worm Riders are a little faster, a tip faster.
A lot faster if you account the aura. So they have 18-inch charge range with the Temporary Eternal, what the Dambusters don't get for the amphibian trait.
Yep, you can get Wild Charge 2 on them.
And don't forget, you can give the Worm Riders still the Water Venom for the Hammer of Measured Force with 20 attacks. What also makes them viable against high armor units.
So they both have kind of their place, but they are both not easy to play.
Yeah.
Martin, which one do you think is more reliable in extended fights? So we know with sticky combat it's not easy to get out. So if you don't kill it, who do you think has more survivability?
I would take the Worm Riders for that because they have regeneration and
the higher
they
nerf.
can choose their targets easier because they are faster. But on the other hand, the Dambusters have defense 5, so they are harder to shoot. So they are against different enemies. They're good against different enemies. So against the Berserker style units with low crushing but lots of attack, the Dambusters would be the better choice. So it kind of depends on what the rest of your army does. If you have answers for Berserker styles, then just take the Worm Riders because then they can choose their target better. And if you don't, the Dam Busters are the little sturdier choice at the beginning of the combat, but the longer the combat takes, the more the regeneration does their work.
Yeah, the River Guard accumulates wounds and they don't go away easily. You have the command, but that's also just a drop on the hot stone. It doesn't save them in the long run, I think.
Yeah.
So, did we have any other units on the list to talk about?
I think we don't have any uncovered units now. We should have taken everything into a discussion.
One thing I heard on the Countercharge podcast was that the Envoy, we joked about him last time because he's a commander for 105 points and he's not really useful. But they mentioned, like, let him charge into a flyer, even if he charges the side and does no wounds. The flyer, even if it's a big dragon and he sees something else, he can't get out of the sticky combat without a withdraw.
That's normal for commanders and warlords, but the Envoy is also yielding.
Yes.
And when charging, you can ignore yielding. So if the Envoy charges a flyer and the flyer is not killed, which it will probably not be from one attack, then the flyer can just ignore him.
Is it ignoring the yielding?
I think the yielding rule
no, I think you do an automatic withdraw. You don't need to roll against the withdraw for a yielding unit, but you don't ignore them on a charge. You get a free withdraw. You don't need to roll for the withdraw, but you still need to withdraw.
I'm not sure about that. We should wait for the 4th edition to come to clear this up. I think it would be too strong if he could just pin down a unit. It would be pretty strong because you couldn't run away because he has nothing else to do, so he would just charge you again. You'll be drawing just with a maximum of 12 if you roll very, very good and have all clear space. That won't happen too often. So it would be too strong against yielding units, in my opinion.
Yeah, we get the clarification if we get the rules, but I think that was an interesting idea they mentioned.
So the next part we wanted to cover is we made some lists.
Yes.
So we are now finished with the part where we want to cover the units which we didn't have in our first army review. We are finished with that now. And the second part of this podcast is to discuss list build, how you could build a list with the new rules with Trident realms. So I have an example list. I've made a list I really like, which is around controlling the tide. I would call the army the Tide Masters because it's about enthralling and a little wind blasting. And Menai has also made a list. So we will present our lists, discuss about the lists. They are all viable in the according to the 4th edition army building rules, and they are 2,300 points list because we don't really know what the new point level will be. Could be 300, 2,300. It could be 2,500 because some units got more expensive. We will see what tournament organizers will set as their new point level. In my opinion, 2,300 is still a very good point level because you have to do hard choices. You can't take everything you want. I took too much at the first try when making this list, and I had to delete a unit taken it out, the unit that I wanted, had to change things because I had to make hard choices with this points level. 2000 is a little low, so you have a little points gap you need to give your list flavor. So it's like in the 3rd edition. I think 2300 will be the new point level. What do you think?
I'm also tending between 2300 and 2500. I like bigger lists and bigger games. It's just my nature. I just would play every game with 4,000 points if you ask me, but nobody asks me. So one thing to mention is either if you play 2,300 or 2,500 points, I don't think it will be realistic to have 2 battalions. You
not
will
in Trident,
also,
I think.
Not in Trident. It will be interesting in the cheaper armies like Redkin or Goblins. If they take a 2nd battalion, maybe with other unlocks to just stuff more in, if it's viable by them. But I just think they will take bigger units. They will play the hordes and use their points in that way. Like I see your list. You're playing a lot of regiments. Regiments are only unit strength 4, and I think the cheaper army, the spammy armies, will be represented in bigger unit choices. Like they will have their core 4 hordes with a lot of unit strength they bring to a scenario play.
Well, then let's go to the list, I think. I have 4 core units, 2 auxiliary units, 3 specialty units, 3 support units, and then 3 champions, one of which is a commander.
A warlord, you mean?
A warlord unit, right? So, the core unit I chose are all River Guard regiments with javelins. So all the same, all shooty, all short range, only 12-inch, but doing a lot of damage if standing still. Because if they stand still, they only have shooting. They have shooting 3, which is very good, with piercing 1. So each of them should do about 5 damage against defense 5 unit. That is pretty much. So this is a solid short range shooting core. Then I took as auxiliary 2 tidal swarms to have those Jeff options and to have the options to move them around and be where the enemy doesn't want them to be. Then I took a regiment of water elementals and a troop of water elementals. For the regiment, I chose the artifact Diadem of Dragonkind. I will come into this a little later. Why I did it and what they do, and they can do really interesting things with it. The 3rd specialist I took is a regiment of Gigas. I had 5 points left, so I gave them Blade of Slashing. The Giga regiment is, with its defense 6, very grindy. Then my support choices are 2 Leviathan's Bane, which can pull the enemies towards my short-range shooting. And I have a Greater Water Elemental, which is the Water Elemental with Strider that you can search. So also my 3rd searching choice here. So I have 3 searching units here. As the champions, I took the Siren, of course, because if I want to pull guys, I need a Siren. I gave her the Wither and Perish spell and the Banner of Command, which is the item that gives 1 additional command die. Then I took an Aquamage with Surge 8 and Heal 3. And I took Ector as a Warlord, because if I'm controlling the tides, I have to pull and push my enemies so I have more fun with getting the enemies here and getting them away. So
Martin,
started with the list. I said everything which was in the list.
So sorry for the quick interruption. I had an internet outage and now back in from my side. And for those watching on YouTube, we have now Martin's list on screen. So Martin, go on. Sorry for that.
Okay, so the intention of the list is I want to pull the guys towards my army. And with the guys, I'm talking about 1 or 2 units. So in the best case, I'm pulling 2 units out of the opponent's battle row. And then I'm shooting them with the javelins. From the pulling, they already take damage because the Siren does damage, the Leviathan's Bane take damage, and then the Javelin's doing a lot of damage if they don't move. So I can probably devastate a unit. And the second unit that I get into my direction, I have nice water elementals, which are pretty hitty now, which I can surge into them. So the Aquamage has Surge 8 that should surge my units about, I would be conservative and would reckon with Surge 2 to 3. So this should go off. The question is, how far can I get the opponent towards my line? So the Siren has Surge 7, not Surge. The Siren has Enthrall 7 on 2 units. So I can start pulling 2 units in. Then I have the Leviathan's Bane. They have 2 attacks with Blast, E3 plus 1. And they have a piercing 3. So if they hit, they will probably damage the opponent. And the opponent gets pulled in my direction for every point of damage. So if I do the math, the Leviathan's Bane should do about 4 damage. So pull an enemy 4 inches. So if I take the Siren for 3 inches, the Leviathan's Bane for 4 inches, you already have your opponent 7 inches to your direction. And then you have the command. So you can use the command, the trawling command, to give one of your units, and this can also be the water elementals, the Enthrall 5 spells. So I can still keep moving them to me if I want to. And I have 3 commanders here. So I could potentially dish out 3 of the trawling. Probably one of them won't work because I don't hit the target number. So I'm probably getting another 4 inches of pulling from the enemy. So if they are 25 inches away, I have very good chances to pull someone into my javelin range.
A question from my side. I don't know if you have discussed that already, but you have the Diadem of Dragonkind on there, which is also a spell item. So isn't it a little bit, how to say, blocking your strategy off that you can get either use of Fireball or the Ethereal spell if you target the water elemental? So wouldn't this limit your possible targets for the command order?
Yes, you're right. I could not target the water elemental regiment if I'm using the Fireball, but I have lots of other units which I could target because Enthrall is 18 range. So I could also target the Tidal Swarm or the water elemental troops or the water elemental, the greater water elemental. So there are some other targets. I could even target the Gigas because they don't do anything else. I could, if it has to be, just sacrifice 1 javelin shot and target a River Guard regiment. But that's the worst case.
Okay.
So the thing is, if in the first, if I get first turn, I take it, move the Siren up a little, begin my enthralling. If the opponent is too far away, I start with the Leviathan's Bane and enthrall him a little towards me, so the Siren can do the rest. And then enthralling starts because everything gets to my enthrall range, and then I should pull one guy really into Javelin's range and shoot him down. If they don't go down with the Javelins, I can still search with the Aquamage or one of the Water Elementals in and give him the rest. That is the reason why I took a troop of Water Elementals, because the troop is a lot cheaper, and I just have to do one wound on a heavily shot opponent to get him down. So he won't waver, he will die if I do search the Water Elemental troop in and just do a little damage on a heavily shot enemy.
If they have like 12 wounds and you do 2, they are on a 14 and it's a double one to kill them.
Right. That's the idea. If something, if I don't get him into range, I just Ekta can push someone away with his damaging Wind Blast. Wind Blast 8 is a lot, so he has a very strong Wind Blast. So he can also push. If I have 2 enemies next to each other, then I can pull one here and push the second one away, and one gets shot and either wavered or killed, depending on if a Water Elemental is near, and then the second is out of charge range. So this should be very strong in the first 2 rounds. And then strategy is to still use the River Guards to kill 1 unit per turn, or at least, or better, to kill 2 units a turn, because if the River Guards do not move, they are hitting on 3s with piercing 1 with, how many attacks do they have? 15?
15, yes.
15 attacks. So 15 attacks on 3s, that should be 10 hits. And with piercing 1, it would be half of them converting into wounds on the defense 5 units. So these are 5 wounds per River Guard regiment. So I have 4 River Guard regiment. Those are 20 wounds on your opponent in range.
Yeah. So
that is a lot of shooting damage. If someone charges my River Guard, they have feigned. So the idea is that whoever gets charged hops away, and the shooting happens again. And a River Guard has only 4 defense and only nerf 16. But if they are placed so that the opponent gets hindered, he won't take a River Guard off in one go if he just single charges. So it's a little bit of placement that you have to do so that the River Guards can't be double charged. And then the opponent will have a very, very hard time taking you out. Apart from that, if he is so near, then the Giga comes in. Then the Water Elementals do their job. So it's not like I only have shooting. I still have some melee hitters. And for the Gigas to keep them alive, I have the Wither and Perish to weaken an opponent. So whoever fights against Gigas or the Water Elemental regiments gets weakened. And still takes damage from Wither and Perish, because it also does damage.
Yeah, and if the enemy is so close that you're already fighting him, you don't need enthrall from the Siren to pull them around. Yeah, I think that's a good choice and a secondary job after her enthralling, because she can only use 1 spell per turn now in the 3rd edition. And I think Wither and Perish is a good choice on her. But why did you give the Banner of Command to her?
The Banner of Command is the thing that adds 1 command die. In my opinion, every Trident Realm list has a very, very big benefit from Banner of Command, because you have 5 different commands, and every command benefits from this banner, because you have 3 of the commands only have target 5. So with the normal Siren, you would probably miss. But with the Banner of Command, you will probably get the command through. So using the banner is as good as having 2 warlords. And if I don't use the commands that need target number 5, so that would be Hardened Shell and the healing, then both can do potentially more, because Hardened Shell, for every success, your sea monsters, that would be the Gigas, get a Barkskin token. So that's an additional probable, there's an additional Barkskin token, and the other would be an additional healing. So the Banner of Command itself is a very strong item for Trident Realm in every list. And why I took it for the Siren, because the Siren is probably near my my units where I want to shoot, where I want to pull the targets in, so where the fighting happens. And those are the units that need the support of either heal or either the Hardened Shell, the Barkskin token, and those are also the ones who can use the other spells pretty much, especially the Trolling command. That's the one which adds Enthrall, because if the Siren enthralls someone to her direction, then a guy that wants to enthrall is probably right next to the Siren, and he wants to enthrall to the same direction. So that's the reason why I gave it to the Siren and not to the Aquamage, because he's probably somewhere else and not exactly there where I want to pull my opponent to.
So, yeah, you also have very nice targets for the Hardened Shell spell. All the water elementals are sea monsters, also the Gigas. So Gigas with a Perish and some Barkskin tokens are just unkillable. They have the high quality attacks, not many, but they survive like 2 rounds of combat easily and just eat them up, come out unscaled probably, or with 1 or 2 wounds, but just will heal.
The regeneration on the Water Elemental Regiment is pretty strong, combined with adding Barkskin tokens and having a heal spell and having a heal command, so they can get very sturdy here. I mean, I can't use the heal command and the Barkskin command on the same Water Elemental, but I have the heal spell on the Aquamage, so you can regenerate a little, Barkskin a little, and heal a little on a water element that took some damage. That will probably give them time to heal up a lot of wounds. So that's for this list. That's a pretty strong synergy.
What would be your take on a very fast enemy list? I'm thinking on elves with the cavalry with movement 10. So yes, you pull 1 unit out, but then they're in. You don't get 2 rounds of shooting with them.
Yep.
The River Guard can hop out, but what will you do with the rest of the units when they come in? If you have like
I will extra them.
Cavalry,
I will extra them. That's my plan there. So if the pulling and pushing I can do with this list is pretty much. So if my opponent does not have Strider on their units, and very, very little units have Strider.
Probably only 1 with the artifact.
Probably one, probably only the one with the artifact. So the Elven Cavalry will probably not have the ability to charge out of a wood unhindered. So my intent here is to place Ector on the side of the map and not in the middle, so that Ector can wind blast a unit of cavalry just into the wood. And if they wind blasted into the wood and the water elementals come to the front and the Gigas is in the front, then they will not do much, because they lose all of the Thunderous. And I can not only wind blast with Ector, I can also just put the Tidal Swarm on the side and give the Tidal Swarm this enthrall spell command, and the Tidal Swarm can just move the enemy towards them. So I can even if there is no terrain at all, tidal swarms can pull enemies towards them to just, hey, kill me. So the intent of the list is to get all the enemies hindered and have good grinding powers with the Water Elemental Regiment and the Gigas. And if they charge someone else with javelins, then he hops back and everyone shoots. So I can still take out 1 to 2 units with shooting, even if they are very near, as long as they don't get double charges. So the trick is to not having the enemies make double charges. You have to kill the unit with Strider Boots first, as good as you can. So when shooting you and pulling the enemies, you can kind of choose what you are shooting. So this would be very strong. Maybe one thing I want to add. Why is this list viable in 4th edition, and why was this list not viable in 3rd edition? So this uses Water Elementals, and in 3rd edition, Water Elementals were too weak. The Greater Water Elemental hits on 3s now, and all Water Elementals have a lot of Thunderous Charge. So they will probably hit through the armor. And the next thing, what makes them even stronger, I have a shooting list. So every enemy I search the Water Elementals in has probably some wounds. And in Trident Realms, you have this blood in the water command, which gives you vicious in combat. That's very strong on units with a high crushing. And Water Elementals have crushing and Thunderous Charge, so they should hit on 2s. And if I add the vicious, they will really hit hard, no matter who I charge. And I have 3 commanders here. 2 of them are pretty good at dishing out commands because they have 3 dice. One of the reasons why the banner is so important here. So I can pretty easily give a unit vicious if it needs vicious. And it's very
you have the shooting to get the wounds on.
Regiment and the Greater Water Elemental. Very strong on all 3 of them. And that couldn't be done in 3rd edition. And the second reason is in 3rd edition, you didn't have shooting 3. So shooting on 3s was, I think in the whole 3rd edition, there was only 2 units that can do it. One of them was an elf, and one of them was the Centurion with Trident of the Drowned Sea. So the shooting 3 was very, very rare in 3rd edition. So this is also a reason why this list works in 4th and didn't work in 3rd.
Yeah, the only thing you need to take in consideration, even if your River Guards get charged and they do the withdraw, yes, they can shoot, but they moved, so they're only hitting on 4. So your shooting will be not so good if they get charged. Even if they do the withdraw, they are hitting only on 4s.
Absolutely right. So if all 4s of my River Guard get shot, I will probably only kill 1 of the enemies and not 2 of them.
What's your plan with the Diadem of Dragonkind? Matthias mentioned it, and what's the idea behind the Diadem of Dragonkind?
Yeah, that's something very funny. The Diadem of Dragonkind gives my Water Elemental Regiment Fireball. Fireball 5. No, Fireball 4 it is, I think. And the Water Elemental Regiment has Shambling. So I can use them like the Ice Elementals from the Northern Alliance. I can just shoot and then search them in. So they can get kind of 2 attacks. And so the Diadem of Dragonkind should be used every single turn. And that makes it very cheap for what it does. Because Fireball is plus D3, so if I have 4 attack, I should hit with 2. I should hit 4 times. I should do an additional 2 wounds every single turn. And that's for only the I think 30 points it is. So it's not that expensive for adding 2 wounds to whatever.
And it's not only 2 wounds, it's 3 because the Fireball has Shattering. So your shooting gets even better. You get that one point of extra damage. The 3 point the 3 point of damage from the shattering was also pretty rare now, I think. So I didn't see a lot of shattering. The shattering from the Trident King moved over to brutal for melee combat, and I think that's a good idea also to kill them. I don't know, it just counts as one more wound, so it only would count for a waiver. I think it wouldn't count for the kill because they would need to have the actual wounds on them. So that's a bit of a drawback, but I also think it's a good idea if you fireball. Yes, you shoot heavily at the one unit. The other one got pulled in, and you fireball the second one just to get the shatter on them and have a higher chance of wavering the second unit.
Wavering gives me another idea. What I wanted to say, what is a very good strength of this list, because I can pull the units where I want them to be and then shoot at them. I can intentionally waver a big block of the enemy. So if he has, for example, abyssals, and he has the abyssal horde, so the lower abyssals, and this is a very big block, and I can just intentionally waver this block so that the units behind, the faster stuff, cannot get around easily. They cannot charge through it. I mean, they can get around if they didn't move weirdly, but they can charge. And so getting an enemy unit intentionally wavered, intentionally not killing it with going into it, can give me time I need to shoot and can cost the enemy its speed. And with having extra on the side, I can even push the enemy I want to waver a little to the side so that it blocks the units I want to block. So I can take the block of the enemy a little towards myself, shoot at him, push it to the side, and then it's in the way of another unit that just can't do what he wanted to do. So it's like Trident Realms should be played. It's very tricky, a very tricky list here, which can do a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah, Trident Realms always had this high ceiling of skill where it could get really tricky, and I see that in that list there. I like that the core of the Trident Realm is still there. That tricky army that says you are your own worst enemy. With that's in the way, and that's in the way. And you don't want to catch this, and this because they just hop out and shoot you again, and you're completely out of position.
Who sees the weakness in my list?
I'm thinking about it, but I'm not sure. Maybe something with 2 or 3 hordes with like a nerf of 24 or higher, so that you really struggle to shoot out even one, and then just go in and get pushed out of the game and get heavily pushed to your side and lose on scenario.
You also have a problem with long-range shooting, so any enemy with a similar style of wrist that outranges you in shooting is going to hurt.
But I can pull him towards me. And
if he stays out of range with his unit, because when an opponent has the shooting advantage, he can, like anyone who is shooting 24-inch, can stay away reasonable for a time and take out your units first, or wavering your essential units in the list first.
That's the point. He only wavers me. So if he has really long range shooting, he must go very heavily into long range shooting to have enough to really take units out. If he only wavers me, then it's too weak.
Then you cannot use Ephral. You cannot use the Ephral order on the units, and this hinders you and delays your tactics. So I see that the biggest weakness for this list I see in anything that is similar but with longer ranges.
I would love to try this because I think I can still take a big unit out with pulling it towards me and shooting a lot. And if the other one has a very good line of sight to my units, he still has the terrain that hinders him. Whereas I have the ability to pull him out of terrain and shoot with clear shots where I want.
I mean, as soon as we get the final rules out, I accept the challenge to put an elf list against it and see how it
I would love
works.
that. We should try this.
Yeah.
What I think is a little weakness, I have only one source of surge. So I have to be very careful with my Aqua Mage. He always wants to stay behind the line and hidden. But I think I can do this.
I mean,
because
if he
water elementals
stays
are pretty high.
Yeah, I just wanted to say the water elementals are bigger than him, and he should be really safe behind the troop, the regiment, or even behind the troop of water elementals, or also behind the gigas. The gigas are only high 2, but the aqua mage is also only high 2. So they also should give a reasonable shield for your aqua mage.
So the only things that can see over the elementals are titans. So if he comes with a giant is a thing I always want to get to want to shoot because I see him pretty well. I can shoot him pretty well. So I should shoot giants first. And the second thing that has very big height dragons. But if he comes with a dragon, then I should he comes pretty near, and I should be able to get or set up a flank with one of the water elementals. Even the troop could hurt the dragon a lot. So that's a list with a lot of flying could be tricky here because I can't protect everything pretty well, and he is near me very early. But even flyers are hindered if they start in terrain.
Yeah.
So if he has a flying heavy list, I will probably try to draw him into terrain or get him hindered all the time, and that makes it difficult for him. Still makes it difficult for him, yeah.
What I see in that whole discussion was on the first announcement of fourth edition was shooting only waivers and everything. We had the big upcry with shooting is worthless, and now Martin just built a really heavy shooting list, and we just discussed how viable this is. I'm also really interested in seeing how viable those shooting lists are with the new terrain, with the new flexibility to shoot out and pull enemies in, and just to stay in terrain and shoot better. I think that's a really interesting take, and I'm really interested how the whole game evolves now around shooting, because we see in that list it doesn't look so bad as it first looked in the first announcement.
Absolutely.
Now that we know more about the game, I think shooting will still stay a viable part of the game. So even the elf lists, I don't see out if they follow
similar theme.
Thank you. Similar theme. I just couldn't get the word. That will be interesting.
It's like for this list, shooting is a quite essential part because you needed to get the wounds on for the command orders and to make the list really work and build around it. So for the first impression that shooting is worthless, being weak in 4th edition, and now we have a list that is really needs it to work out. This is quite an interesting point and review from that side. So
yes, and
really thanks Martin for that list. It's and also the explanation for the tactics.
Yeah, I have to paint a lot of frogs now.
And now that Matthias also mentions it, I think one of the weaknesses is that you need those commands, you need those tools to work. So I think you're your worst enemy yourself. So if the commands don't work, if the you get a whiff on Leviathan Spain, so you or both Leviathan Spains, I've seen that's often enough that you can't get enemies in range with that initial pull. I also think that losing one round of shooting because you can't get the enemies in range is also a big weakness. So if it don't works out in the first 1 or 2 rounds, I also think you're behind, because then the enemies is at your units and you didn't kill anything beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, you always need to adjust. Yeah, you need to adjust for bad dice rolls and have a plan B on what happens if you roll lower than average or things don't go as planned, because this is something. So it's not an easy to play list. Let's put it that way.
But one thing I should mention: tidal swarms have scout, so I can scout them within 18 range of the enemies, give him the command to get the enthrall, and get the enemy to my side pretty reliable. I get the enemy in about 1 or 2 inches, and that's enough for the Siren to work with her spell, and that's again enough to give the Leviathan Spain a good shot, because with all this movement the enemy did, he should be without cover when the Leviathan Spain shoot them. That makes them hitting on 4s. 4 attacks hitting on 4, there should be at least 1 hit, and if 1 hit gets D3 plus 1, which by the way was not the case in 3rd edition. So the Leviathan Spain were weaker in 3rd edition. They were cheaper, but they were also weaker. And so that Leviathan Spain pull more reliably than they were in 3rd edition. So I bet against your analysis. I bet I get the enemy into range.
Yeah, let's see.
We will see.
We'll see.
We definitely need to test that list. Yeah.
The cat is planning something.
Yeah. So I the last half an hour I was feeling like a James Bond villain petting the cat like in front of me while you were talking about lists. So it's yeah. So no peace on my side. Okay. So thanks again, Martin, for that list. We are already good in time, so let's quickly jump to a second list, as also Menai prepared something. That's a rather different list that doesn't focus on shooting and pulling, but is the classic ensnare list that we know from Trident Realm before. Menai, explain yourself why for you everything stays the same.
I'm just gonna read the units so the listeners all know what I have there prepared. I have 4 regiments of Naiad Ensnarers. I have 1 times Naiad Worm Riders. I have 3 regiments of tools, 2 Krakens, a Naka. And as champions, I have Axel Tricklebrook, a Depthhorror Eternal as a Warlord, and a tool Aqua Wage with Heal 3 and Slime Them. I just want to try Slime Them, so I will give it a shot in my early games just to see how the spell works, and then to decide if it's worth taking or do I take something else. So I have a lot of Ensnare. The only without ensnare are the Worm Riders and the champions. I took the Depth Horror Eternal especially because he gives an Aura Well Charge 2, so no dice, just 2 inches more for Ocean Spawn only. And besides the Kraken and the Naka, everything is an Ocean Spawn. So I have a really nice and fast list there. And I also took Axel because he is an excellent support for the Krakens. The Krakens are amazing now. They have... I'm not seeing it. I have 12 attacks now base, and they have Rampage 8 now. So against all that's infantry and that's small. And I think with all those core choices that need to be put in, I think we will see a lot of infantry and heavy infantry choices. So I'm just throwing the Kraken at them.
And he also hits on 3s now, so he hits better than before.
Yes, so that's 20 attacks on 3s with Crush 1. Possible on 4s with the command. And that could be that can be really, really painful. One thing I want to do with this list is just move up. The tool shouldn't get too much shooting. If I think at Martin's list, because they have stealthy. So only the ensnarers are interesting. They're speed 6, and with the Depth Horror Eternal aura, they are charging 14 inches. So my plan with this army is just move up and then send everything into melee. Maybe with the tools, take double charges. The Worm Riders together with the Naka. We discussed the Worm Riders are now a flanking unit. I can send them on a mission with the Naka on the side, or just flank front. So take a flanking unit in the front with 26 attacks. That also should take out a whole unit, but the Worm Riders alone can't accomplish. The Krakens in the middle as big infantry killers, and I want to play my Ensnarer regiments as Chaff. They're only 115 points, so a bit expensive Chaff, but they have Ensnare and Regeneration, so they should bind some units really annoyingly in combat. So you withdraw or you don't kill me at them, and then just focus out units with the Kraken, with the tool in double charges. Just take them out in the front and grind them down, bind the whole army, and take a hammer and smash parts of the army out, and then go from there and break it apart from the middle, from the sides. I have the options there.
From all of these units, who are the ones who have not ensnare?
The Worm Rider, the Kraken.
The Kraken has ensnare.
The Kraken has ensnare. The Worm Riders.
So it's just a champion.
Yes, the Worm Riders and Axel Triggerbrook, the Depth Horror Eternal, and the Aquamage. Even the Aquamage has ensnare.
So only 3 units without ensnare in this list. 2 of them are the champions.
Yes.
What? Who says Trident Realm has lost its ensnare?
Also, I like Axel. He has a shot, so he has 5 attacks with his Icy Waters on 18 inches, with Pierce 1 and Frostbite. So I can slow down flanking units. I want him to prevent units from setting up to get in my flanks. I only want to fight in the front. And that slowdown is something I'm trying to hinder my enemy that he doesn't get in my flanks, That's also why I want to try Slam Them. So Slam Them also takes away Fly. So I'm thinking at our test game, Martin, where you had those souls.
Tortured souls, yeah.
The tortured souls from the Büchsels. They were a real pain with jumping over into the flanks and coming from the sides. And if you just slam them in, if I slow them only by 1, yes, they have the speed, but they need to charge the unit that's in front because they can't hop over, they lose their fly. And that's why I want to try slam them to prevent flyers from flanking from the side into my vulnerable units in the middle that are fighting front to front.
What do you think? What will be your favorite command with this list?
My favorite command. It depends. The tools are really. If the enemy has a lot of armor, so I think the Aqua Venom will be a really good choice. What I also think I can do is Blood in the Water, especially if I do a double charge. So I charge with one unit. Yes, that's the Vicious. I charge with 1 unit. And then the second unit gets, I charge with 2 units. 1 unit gets Blood in the Water. The 1 unit hits first, then the other one hits, and there should be already wounds on them, so they get Vicious. I think that's a viable use. The hardened shells on the Krakens is also something I'm looking forward to, because a Kraken with his high nerf, he's 18 or 19, 18. Ensnare and some bugskin markers on him and his regeneration 4+ that he kept. I think it's a really, really annoying target to take down. Yeah, especially if I can block one side, so you can't shove in. And bigger units, even regiments, are bigger than the 75 millimeters of the Kraken front. So if I have like an ensnarer on the front, a bit in front of him, you can't double charge the Kraken with regiments or anything bigger. So he has a really small front, and I think it's easily to protect him from double charges.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing with the Kraken, you cannot. He's fearless, so you cannot waver him with shooting. That's big, because it was a problem in 3rd edition, and this is not a problem anymore in 4th edition, unless you devastate him with 18 wounds. That's hard to get on them.
Yeah. I mean, he's easy to see. He is an easy target, but he has Strider. You can still place him in a forest.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and in the forest with his ensnare, it is a very good place to be for a Kraken.
Yes.
What I like about your list is that the Naka and the Naiad Worm Riders can go together as a team, and they have the same speed if the Death Horror Eternal is nearby.
Yes, that's one of the intentions. And also the ensnarers with their 14 inches now. That's a really annoying shove to have, to get shoves thrown at you at 14 inches.
And what you also can do is you can give them, if the Depth Horror is nearby, the Depth Horror is the Warlord, so he has 3 dice. So the Depth Horror can give this Blood in the Water command to the Worm Rider regiment, and then you can double charge with the Naka and the Worm Riders, so the Worm Riders will get the Vicious if the Naka hits first. So you have 20 attacks hitting on 3s, wounding on maybe 4s, but getting Vicious pushes this up a little, and that's what the Worm Riders really need. So it's a good synergy here.
Yeah, I'm just looking to have double charges, and as I said, block up the army and surgically take out in combat what you do in shooting, and smash them up.
What about the Bugskin command? Your unit's crying for Bugskin. 3 Thule regiments. and a lot of units with only defense 4. So Bugskin would be pretty strong here.
You mean the Bugskin spell?
The spell, yes, for the Aquamage.
That's something I've considered. I'm at 2,275 points now. So, and I only have 3 support and 3 champions. I could take something out, but it would need to be one Kraken or the Naka to put another mage and caster in, and I think that's not a thing I want to do. I mean, if the Slime Dam doesn't work out, I have considered the Bugskin and also the Scorched Earth as alternative spells for those lists to say.
Do you think the ability to give your units this thralling, so enthralling him into terrain, makes Scorched Earth less useful than it was in 3rd edition?
I don't think so, because Scorched Earth is a spell, and I really want to use my commands for heal, for the Vicious, for the Hammer of my Mecha Force 1. I don't want to use that for the Enthrall. Maybe I use it in the 6th or 7th round to pull someone off a point. I see that's a fun point if I have commanders then left and some units that can do that, and to pull them away. But I don't think I want to use the trolling command in this list. Maybe if I have a Naka on the side and the Deptory Eternal is near them, and I can pull them sideways behind a wall or something.
Nakas are always in the side.
Yes, but the question is a command in range. It's only 12 inches, and if I set the Naka forward his whole 18 inches and just turn him 90 degrees, there's no command nearby.
Yeah, you will probably want the Deptory Eternal to be nearby because he wants to give his speed aura to the Naiad Worm Rider regiment. So he's not his speed, his wild charge aura.
Yes.
Maybe if he is near, then he could command to.
Yeah. So good option to add the extended aura with the horn for the additional inches on the aura in that case.
Could be a good take.
Could be a good take. As I said, I have like 25 points left, and I have 25 points in Slime Dam, so I have 50 points to play around.
I would recommend giving the command dice to the Aquamage, because your Blood in the Water only goes up on 5+, and with only 2 dice, that won't work too well with the Aquamage as it is now. But giving him the banner of command gives him an additional command die, and he should get his spells out, his command out if he wants them.
Yeah. That's also a good option. But I also want to highlight in this list, I've written it now for 2,300 points. And now I think we also should consider the 2,500 points. So it would be 200 points more. Just to discuss it. Martin lost because we talked beforehand about this. But what would you take for 200 points extra? I think it would be a 4th command slot, another Aquamage maybe.
I mean, that's a big point in here, because with the usual what we are used to point level with 2,300, and now I see in your lists you have the necessary core and specialist units for the 4th support or command options, but you only take 3 because you run out of points. So increasing the point level by 200 to go for a round number of 2,500 would simply be just one more model in that case.
units
to max out the battalion. On the other side, with now the new game, also decreasing the points is an interesting option, because with going just with the 2,000 points now, those well-rounded lists, as you both presented them, have to make hard choices on what units to take. So they are much more, and so this is a personal thing for me, but I like hard choices in list building, because if a list can get everything in and all options in, it suits the very good players more, because they can take something from everything, and it's much harder to encounter a list that counters your strategy, because you can cover everything anyway. So reducing the point options that it's like going to 2,000 point would mean like one Kraken less.
I would rather take one ensnarer and one tool out and keep the rest.
I would do the
So yes, so because I don't need this third unlock, I lose rather two core as a one core and one specialist than give up on support or champions.
But so it's like it's still, you get one annoying unit less in general, which makes also the list a little bit less flexible. So I think I mean, we had this in the past at several of the events we visited, went with 1,995 points, just to restrict list building a little bit more, which is now not needed, because with the co and specialist and support choices, those things are avoided anyway. So going with a 2,000 point now as a standard for our small one-day events is a viable option. And then like escalating things to the larger event tournaments to 2,500 points instead of 2,300, maybe you see. But then there's also a thing about timed games, because someone who isn't used to this kind of gameplay and then fills the 2,500 points with units will struggle with finishing it in time. And I don't think that increasing the time played as well is a good idea, because I would rather decrease the point level instead of increase the time. Yes, at least for now with the 4th edition.
Everyone is complaining about exploding heads after three games a day. I don't care about 3 games. I play 4 or 5 games a day, and be happy with it. But I know a lot of players that complain that the third game of a day is just shoveling units around with the casino coin shuffler and just moving around and throwing dice at the opponent. Literally and figuratively.
The one thing I want to discuss as a last thing, do you think 12-inch makes Slime Dam not usable, or do you want to experiment with Slime Dam and probably give it away, or do you have a plan for this 12-inch? Because everything in your list is speed 6 at the minimum.
Yeah, and
so 12-inch is just the speed they have. So the Aqua Mage has to be at the front if you really use Slime Dam.
Or you lose it in a late game.
Yeah, in what
it's a question is now
25 points just for a late game, maybe opportunity.
I think I've seen enough games where I had this one unit I couldn't control, and that was just roaming around in my backline and moved from there and there. And most of them are flyers. They use their first 3 turns to get on your side of the table from the enemy side to your side, and just go around and kill them there. And I think that the Aqua Mage to have him turn around and just slam them down so they can't shoot. So they can charge my backlines, my flanks. I think that will be a protection for them. But yes, it's situational. Maybe even as Martin mentioned with the thrall commands, pull someone away and slam them. So they never get back on that point.
I mean, this is an interesting point in general, because with the now more limited hero choices, sitting away one individual to counter flyers behind your line is much more tricky now, because you don't have this slot often left, or the points for taking the fourth hero that is doing nothing else but watching your back, and having a spell that removes fly from a unit can help to mitigate that a lot, and is combined with individual who still get the free pivot at the beginning. So turning around, take away fly from the dangerous unit, and carry out your other movements as usual. That's a valid point for, I don't think that the 25 points, just in case, isn't that big of a point investment here.
Yeah, I mean, what you could really do is you could take the fly ability from a flyer which is hiding behind a forest, and suddenly he cannot go through the forest.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not at the double.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's some points, or as I mentioned, that hopping above units. Yes, you see the flyer unit on the side, and yes, you can turn your flank unit to face them. But they just ignore it and go over it and charge something in the flank, and that's something I want to avoid with them. I mentioned that, and that's one of the biggest problems I see in this list. That just someone comes to the side and hops over and into my flanks.
Yeah,
I don't want to hop them over, and I don't want to hop them over units. I mean, I want to, but I can't in this list. But so I don't want the enemy to do the same.
Yeah, the worst thing for ensnaring lists is flanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it will be a pretty fun list.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's the classic Trident list. So looking forward to play against it, to see how things changed, and how the how the core rule changes reflect this on tactics and playing against it again. And something that I don't know if you have touched it yet, but in the most recent Countercharge podcast, they mentioned about unit strength that is now standardized for all the units. So regiment has 2, a horde has 4, most monsters have 2, the war machines 1, and champions 1, and warlords 2, I think, in that thing. So heroes lost their additional unlocks. Not much more. Hordes lost the additional unlocks and are not much more expensive over regiments. So you get double the unit strengths, but not need double the point investment in here. So this linked again together in like this list being 2,300 points. You can't take 4 hordes in the core just to get that more unit strength in, because then you're way over the points, even if it's just a little bit more investment. So how do you guys feel about taking this more regiments to get more unlocks versus investing into the hordes for better scenario play? Your both lists now, because you have both taken hard into regiments without any real hordes here.
Yeah, I mean, if I would construct the ensnaring list, I would go into ensnare horde to have at least 1, maybe 2 ensnare hordes, not more than 2 because they are too bulky. But I would go into ensnare hordes. I would sacrifice a Thule regiment here because you have you don't have the aura anyway to give the Worm Rider and all Thules the additional wild charge. So I would sacrifice the 2 regiment here and upgrade the ensnarers to hordes. It gives me more unit strength and more staying power, and also for a lot more crushing power, because the ensnarer horde has a lot more attacks and can dish back, especially with the Aqua Venom command. So with this Hammer of Measured Force command. So I would have at least one of that snare hordes in a list for scenario play. So I like hordes. Even though I didn't take it in my shooting list, I really like having a horde now. Especially with the new rule that you only have 2 units.
I also need to say I built this list before the podcast was out, so I didn't know about the unit strength there. I also see your point in taking a horde. What I also really like about the hordes is that you can't get triple charged now from the front. So with 2 units, a horde in a forest, then Snare still have Pathfinder, so they just move in at the double. And if they move out, it doesn't matter. They just want to stay in a forest and be there and contest points, especially as a horde. And yeah, if you only have the options to a front charge and a snare horde in a forest or over terrain, it's a horror scenario. You won't kill them, and I really like that improvement in the staying power of hordes. So I think that change to charges really helps out hordes and gives them even more value than just the unit strength 4. So even if I think about my Worm Riders and my Naka charging a horde, hordes now have 23, 24, 25 nerf. You won't kill them. Especially if you have a hinder charge. Or an ensnare or something else that's add to your rolls. And even if you have an unhindered charge, it's hard. You really need to roll good. In average, you don't get them.
Yeah. Only if you shoot them before.
Yeah. But then it wouldn't be the same turn. You shoot them and charge them in the next turn. That could be a possible use of shooting. And I also think that's an interesting choice to just have, like, we discussed the heart pieces before, maybe 2 ensnare hordes, and take the champion to have the heart piercers in the core and take 2 regiments of them just to shoot enemy hordes and have the unlocks there. It could be an interesting idea. Just for that are 24 shots. You shoot at them. Your target isn't to waver. Your target isn't to kill them. You won't kill them. You won't even waver them with that inspiring for wavering. So you have a high roll and you don't get a second high nerf roll and you don't waver them, but you bring wounds on units. I think that's some place the heart piercers could fill in regard to hordes to weaken the enemy lines. And then they're just standing on points on your side and say, yes, I'm holding the point and shooting the guy over there.
Well, thank you for sharing the list.
Yeah,
it's inspiring.
It's an interesting. So thank you, Menai, for doing things now. I was just a little bit distracted because we're already in 2 hours again, but I want to touch this last topic before we finish this episode today. We make it a short one, or a short last topic. I hope so. Because I was looking at the new Trident Round Battalion Mantic released, which is 100 points, 130 euros, and I think $155. it comes with 30 Naiads, 3 Death Horrors, the 16 Blacoderms units, the 3 Water Elementals, and 1 Death Horror Eternal. So, like, none of the lists you presented now is using all of those models, as you either focus on the Fool, but none of you use the Blacoderms or the Death Horrors. So,
the point of the list, one of them was very shooting and one of them was very ensnaring.
It's like,
so
how would you feel about using? I mean, you focused on Frog Martin anyway, so this box isn't for you. It's more about Menai's list in here. So the first question would be, how would you feel about replacing one of the ensnare regiments with Blacoderms?
Definitely the spear Blacoderms also have their place in there. The ensnarers are nice, but they are super squishy. I mean, they don't have the armor. You could build one Blacoderm defender regiment and exchange it for an ensnarer, just to have something against cavalry, against flyers. Those could be the unit you place last on the side where the enemy places your his flyers together with your Archmar mage, so they can't jump over them, and they have the phalanx charge, so they are hindered anyways.
That's 40 points you need to upgrade one of them to a Blacoderm Defenders. 40 points, so you would have to sacrifice your slime or your heal.
Or one Fool regiment.
Yes, that would come. There are no Fools in there, so take the Fools out and maybe take the Depth Horrors for them. Then you also don't need to buy so much.
Yeah, Depth Horrors troops is only 5 points more than a Naiad Ensnarer.
Yeah. I mean, it's the 3 models in there coming with a troop base, but it's like you still can place. The models are large enough that you can improvise something to place them on a regiment base. So you are not limited to just. It's also with the 13 Naiads, you can possibly split them to make 2 hordes out of them, depending on what base decoration you make, or for regiments. So you are not locked into those 2 units. Or 3 regiments. 4 is a little bit stretchy, but it's like, how would you say, when you don't use the Death Horrors in here and you are limited on Naiad models, how about using the Death Horrors as to extend the models for the Naiads, like putting 1 in so that you can split the models into 3 or 4 regiments or 2 hordes?
Oh, I would love to take the model from the Depth Horror, which has his arm risen, and then cut off the weapon and just give him a banner of some sort. So he would be the commander of a Naiad horde, maybe, and it's holding it up and just motivating them.
Put the Naiads have a really nice banner and just put that in there, and he holds it up. Yes, that could be a viable option. I also need to say I only have 10 Naiads on 1 regiment base. So, and if you place a Depth Horror there, I think you could spare 3 more. So you get an extra regiment. Also to say the Heart Piercers that are in there, normally the splice comes with both options. So you can build all the Naiads in Ensnarers or Heart Piercers. So the Heart Piercers can also be Ensnarers.
Yeah, I think this is listed in there because Mantic said they are going to release starter lists that are based on the battalion content. So what they list in there is what they are going to put into that starter list, and not what the models are possible to make, because it's like the Blacoderms are also listed as they are listed as miniatures. So you're more flexible than what is in the box. It's also like what I'm now thinking, because you have the 3 water elementals in there, you can take 1 off and make that one a greater water elemental on a 50 mil base, because it's the model itself it's not impressive as the actual Greater Water Elemental they sell, but it's still a viable option to have 2 of them as a regiment or as a troop. Still mixing this one up. The old regiment is now a troop, so 2 models as a troop, and the third as a Greater Water Elemental would work in here as well. I don't know if mixing the Death Horrors with the Water Elementals would work to make a regiment. Not really.
I don't think they work together very well.
It's too confusing, I think.
Yes.
The opponent wouldn't really know, is it the Water Elemental or is it a Depth Horror?
Yeah.
And that's something that shouldn't happen.
Yeah,
but also you could
the same base size also. That's make it even more confusing. If you put the Depth Horror on Ensnarer base, the base size is wrong, so it's obvious.
And there are Naiads on there. Also with the Blackoderms, you could then put the Death Horrors into the Blackoderms and make 2 regiments of defenders in there is an option, or put the Water Elementals in the regiments in there for both Naiads to extend the model count. Those are good possibilities. But I agree. Mixing the Death Horrors and the Water Elementals for a unit in here wouldn't work. But I need to get my hands on the Death Horror models just to check if you can extend with the bits that in there as a base decoration to spread them out on a larger regiment base with 3 models, because if there are enough spare parts and anything else in there to get some option on the base decoration in. Could also be interesting if you don't like the actual Eternal model to exchange one of those. Like put the Death Horror Eternal into the regiment and one of the new plastic ones out as a Death Horror Eternal, so that not everyone has the same Warlord model.
Yeah, but with the Depth Horror Eternal, you get a really solid Warlock choice in there, so it's not something you wouldn't play. So that's a good model to have. I don't have them, so I'm thinking about buying them. So, and maybe also if you combine it with the hero box, with the new hero with Axel Tricklebrook. I think those 2 boxes would give a really nice starting army. You get lots of Ensnarers, you get some Blackoderms. I don't know what else is in the Axel box.
Just checking, give me a second. There is Axel Tricklebrook comes with 10 Naiads, 10 River Guards, and 1 Dumbbuster. So you get possibly a Dumbbuster hero because it's just a single model. Yeah. The 10 Naiads you can, if you're already planning ahead when buying these boxes and know about Kings of War, you would use those 10 Naiads for your extended regiments anyway, if you just buy the box for the hero. Yeah. If you started with champions, you are possibly not putting all 10 models on a base, but rather start slow with 6 to 8 on there. So you have some spare to increase the model count when you go with the battalion box. So those work together. And maybe the River Guard extended to a regiment or kept as a troop. Maybe. What I'm now thinking about is if you, because we had this in the past with Kings of War, that was a viable building option to leave the first rank of a regiment free, so that you can easier put them together in combat and not have interaction with the weapons. So to put everything a little bit back, and with the new regiment bases that they released, or the new plastic bases that comes in troop bases, you would have your champions, River Guard troop. You just extend the front base with one of those troop bases, put some base decoration on it, and then you have a regiment of River Guard in there for.
That's a really good beginner tip. If you haven't played before or something, you place those bases in base to base, and if there's any overhang on some models, it will snag. You will move other models. Try to avoid this. That's a really valid tip. Just as Matthias said, but put some decoration and you save on models, and you play easier to remove them, to place them, everything. So that's a really good tip there.
They're also easier to transport because you can put them in a tighter box and things like that. So this is like, so it's not just on saving models, but it's actually a much easier gameplay and simply quality of life feature to have. Try to keep within the base boundaries in here. So, yeah, well, so yeah, I would say as a beginner, if someone now starts with Trident Realm in 4th, it's like if you didn't already have started with champions, the champions box and the battalion box are a good starting point. You get a good champion, you get a good warlord. You don't get the Aqua Mage, but in this case, it could be interesting to try to convert one of the frogs as a mage, because it doesn't could be an option. Take some parts, model some water, or try something like this, or use the banner option to give some water spells or naiad parts and things like that. So on conversions, just to improvise something with the models you have, also from the Dambuster, what bits are left over to convert one of those models into a mage, maybe also one of the naiads. So this is an option to improvise on that one. And then you got your 3 heroes. You have the necessary models count to fulfill your 4 core units, and have some specialists. So this should put you in the range about 1,500 points ish, about there, which should be a good start value. And then you can check what units you really like, what you would extend on, what to replace, and how to expand on which monster you get. Like, think just looking what's currently, I mean, a Kraken is always a good option to get in there, or get the hero box, not the new Trident Realm hero pack, but the Trident Warriors Merfolk heroes could be an option in here. The Siren, Anaka, things like that. So, and then you would hit the 2,000 points already. So, yeah, I think it's a valid way to start, given the lists you showed us, just with some slight modification in here.
Yeah.
So, any other beginner tips at the end of the episode?
Not around base building. Don't put too much head around. You see around in Mantic super well painted models and everything. Just try your best, place them on the table, and if they look good, they are good enough painted.
Yeah. And if you're just content with them and not loving them, put a lot of decoration around, and everyone will give you their credits.
Yeah. Build around the strengths. If you're not a good painter but know how to build terrain, focus on your base decoration. It is a good way to go around till while you improve painting, and it's really just like, so the models need to look good from an arm length away, and always think about, you're not painting models, we are painting armies. So as long as the army look good, the individual model doesn't need to be that good painted. So I think we've this time covered everything we wanted. So this is about our standard 4-hour review of an army. So I guess in the future, I don't know if we can focus a little more or be a bit less chaotic in future, but we try to improve as well. So if everyone has any criticism, any tips on us, or simply want to ask further questions, leave a comment, leave it on YouTube, on Spotify, on Facebook, join our Discord. And I wish you all a good morning, good evening, or good night whenever you're listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.